Good to see you. How's everybody? Everybody doing well? How was your Monday? I hope just absolutely exceptional. I hope you are feeling good. We are 20% of the way to the beginning of college football. Yes, I know we had games last Saturday. But as I was talking, so this morning I jumped on the BetQL morning show with Chelsea Messenger and PJ Glass. And we were talking football. And I said, week zero is like light hors d'oeuvres for actual football, right? Like week 0 is light hors d'oeuvres. Let's be upfront about it. Week 0 is light hors d'oeuvres in that you might go to a place, you had a long day, you're hungry, you want to get some food down, and you show up and you're all excited about food. And then when you arrive at the place that the food is, you get told it's light hors d'oeuvres. You're like, all right. Well, that's what we got. And you'll have a couple of light hors d'oeuvres, a little bit of charcuterie action. You get yourself some decent crackers, maybe a slice of cheese. Maybe you throw down a couple of nuts, whatever. And it's like, all right. It just is what it is. This is what we got right now. This is what I'm working with. Nobody has ever left a party featuring light hors d'oeuvres and went, I am happy, fulfilled, and satisfied. No! You leave and you go, babe, we're getting a burger on the way home. I appreciate the gorgonzola. I appreciate the prosciutto, but I'm getting a burger. We're hitting Five Guys. Figure out what you want before we get there. I'm hungry. And that was week 0. We got us a little taste. We got us a little sprinkle. And now we just got to wait till Saturday. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. Great to have you, everybody. I am, of course, Rob Brown. Across from me on the other side of the glass is not the sheriff of sports talk, the great one, Lonzo, as he is on vacation this week. Instead, filling in that chair, taking up all the responsibilities, and doing so with ease and grace and finesse is my guy, T2, Tim Snow, the Timinator in the building. What's up, dog?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Wonderful. T2 is very, very close, I think. I'll just put it this way. If you're driving home and you see Tim 2 coming up behind you this afternoon, just pull over. Just get out of the way. All right? Because 385 this morning around the radio station was a parking lot. And T2 got caught in that. My man's already, we haven't even talked about your hand yet. We went all the way yesterday. Didn't even talk about your hand. He's already dealing with injury. He's already playing hurt. And then the people on the interstate T2 walked up in here. And I was like, we have got to get you into like some meditation, some karate. And he goes, you don't need to teach me karate, dude. Which I respect. I respect. By the way, what did you do? Because I've only gotten the Cliff Notes version. I've only gotten the short story here. Did you like punch a bad guy robbing a bank?
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, that would have been a cooler story.
Yeah, that would have been a way cooler story than what actually happened. What actually happened was I took my kid fishing.
Okay.
My kids, and which is a cool story. But we didn't even get to the pond because I was opening a fishing pole rod and I was getting frustrated with it. And instead of cutting, away from yourself, I was cutting towards myself with a knife. And this knife is a little 3-inch blade, and it just slipped right through the zip tie and went right down straight into my hand. Yeah.
Cool. You're right.
The
Punching
scar,
a bad guy
I
would have
think,
been a better story.
yeah, but I think the scar is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, but you got to make up a better story than that, dude.
I mean,
You
I
know?
will eventually, but
So
I want to tell the truth first.
So there I was. We're at a restaurant having dinner with my wife and kids. And the door flies open. And in walk three guys with ski masks and machetes.
I was a hero, man.
They start demanding money. They went after the waitress, and I couldn't stand for that. So I flipped the table, kicked it into the first guy, slammed him against the wall, walked over, elbow strike to the nose. He's out. Then I turned. The other guy had me in his sights. He made a sprint. He didn't know what I knew. I knew about the pool stick right on the wall behind me. I grabbed it, broke it over my knee, and stabbed one into each eyeballs. That man's gone. There was one guy left. I turned. He turned. He swung his machete. There was no time to react. My innocent wife and children were behind me. So what did I do? I grabbed the machete blade out of thin air. You got to have a better story, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I wanted to tell the truth first,
I
and
respect
then
that.
I will make up cool stories about it.
I respect that tremendously. Y'all, we have got ourselves a show lined up for you today. It is college football week 1, so you know that we have got to get into all of the stuff this morning as we continue to steam towards the best day of the year. So that's coming up later on in the show. It is NFL roster cut day. Today is the day that NFL teams are obligated to turn in their 53-man roster to the National Football League front offices. We are going to see final rosters turned in around 4 p.m. at the latest. So, who might make it and who might not for your Carolina Panthers? I'm going to give you some thoughts on that later on. The Panthers, as we told you yesterday, have already made a couple of rounds of cuts. 11 players were released on Sunday, and there will be another handful going on today. I know at least 1 or 2 have been released this morning, including Deion Jones, the legacy NFLer at linebacker, no longer a member of the Cats. So we're going to give you some thoughts, and we will give you some cuts from around the league as they continue to come in. The Deion Jones cut is a bit of a surprising one. He had some solid moments in camp. He got as many preseason reps at linebacker as just about anybody else would have. This one is this one's intriguing. It's a I would be happy to call it a mid-surprise. A mild surprise. Let's go with mild surprise. It was a mild surprise. So we'll talk about that later on in the radio broadcast. We got to talk a little bit of, well, outside sports, frankly. We didn't even get to the Victor Hovland thing yesterday. The NASCAR playoff bracket is set, 10 to go, 10 standing between us and somebody raising a championship trophy with a little race car on top of it. We're going to talk about who's in, who's out. Chase Elliott misses the playoffs. I don't know if you guys knew this yet or not, but Chase Elliott is NASCAR's most popular driver. Did y'all know that? Did y'all hear Chase Elliott's NASCAR's most popular driver? Because I did when I watched that Daytona race on Saturday night, and I heard the boys repeat that phrase, I don't know, 1 billion freaking times. Every time they'd go to chase it. In fact, we're down inside like the last 18 laps, 30 laps, somewhere in that ballpark. And we're at a very interesting point in the race because the boys don't have enough gas in the tank to finish the race. Everybody will have to come down pit road one time. And so you get to that real interesting point where it starts to become about pit strategy. Do you want to pit early and risk running out of gas if this thing goes to an extended finish, but you are getting a leg up, you're running longer, or excuse me, you're running quicker out of the gate? Do you want to hold off a little bit? Do you want to try to look around and play it safe by pitting with everybody else? Do you want to have your spotters get together and chat and figure out, all right, us in the 14 and the 23 and the 45, we're all going to pit together. So that way, when you come out at Daytona, you got to have a draft. Even when you're coming up to speed, you got to have a draft. It was all very interesting. And then they go to Chase Elliott. And Chase running like 16th, I think. He's running like 16th. He's nowhere near contention. It would take a small miracle for Chase Elliott to find his way into contention and win this race, which is what he would have needed to do to get into the playoffs this year, because he did not qualify on points. Remember, Chase Elliott missed, like 8 races earlier this year with a broken leg. So they showed Chase Elliott's car in 16th with nothing but a small miracle to save him. And they go to Jeff Gordon, and he's like, and here he is, NASCAR's most popular driver. And then 2 laps later, he's in the same spot. He's done nothing. And they go, and here's Chase Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver. They've been doing that for a year and a half. Dudes, we get it. We get it. Stop. That's my complaint. I'll actually talk about the race itself later. It feels like that's more important. But, I wanted to talk about that for a minute. I wanted to vent. So we did. We have got to, what I have not touched on yet? And I'll see if I can find a spot for it today, because I know it's been a minute. But last week and this week, because of just how much football there's been, I just have not gotten the chance to get into it. The NBA Hall of Fame ceremony was a week and a half ago. And into the Hall of Fame went one of my top 3 favorite players of all time. A dude that rarely gets talked about. A dude that rarely gets discussed amongst the all-time greats, right? It's like anytime we have a conversation about the greatest, we know the names you're going to hear. You're going to hear Kobe, you're going to have LeBron, you're going to have Michael. And I don't think that this guy necessarily deserves to be mentioned inside of the group that includes Kobe, LeBron, and Michael. But I do think this guy deserves to be mentioned in that very next group. And I just don't think that he very frequently is. Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki, whenever we hear about the greatest power forwards of all time, the name that gets brought up the most frequently is Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, maybe you get somebody who tosses in a Kevin Garnett here and there. But I think Dirk Nowitzki needs to be in that group. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that because Dirk got in, and Dirk deserves to not only be in, but Dirk commands your respect, ladies and gentlemen. Commands, demands, and requires your respect. And you will show it. All right? You will. So we're going to talk about that later on in the radio broadcast. And when we come back here in just a minute. Yesterday, we got to talking about the season statement that your team, program, school, and or coach can, need to, and will make with this season on the line. What statement does this season make about your team? And you guys gave me some great answers. You guys gave some very solid answers. So I'm going to take it one more step further with the 2 schools that we cover here in the hood. Who has more pressure on them to succeed this season? Dabo Swinney or Shane Beamer? Which of those 2 cats is under more pressure to succeed? Not to not fail, but to succeed this year. Because I had that conversation on the daily tip this morning on the BetQL network. And I got to thinking a little bit about it. And I want to see if y'all's thoughts line up with mine because I do think that there is a clear and definite answer. So I'll tell you what that is when we come back. My man T2, the Timinator, Timmy Snow, is over on the ones and twos. My name is Rob Brown. Ever so glad to have you. Phone lines open, 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. You can text us on the carpros.com text line at 71307. 71307. You can tweet me, X me, threads me, bro, by hitting me up at The Rob Brown Show. Let's take a break. When we come back, who faces greater pressure this year, Shano or Dabo? I've got a definitive answer, and I'll tell you who it is when we come back. Rob, T2, and you on The Rob Brown Show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fan Upstate. Yes. They did do that with Junior for a long time. That bugged me then, too. And I liked Dale Jr., but that bugged the crap out of me. And it's worse with Chase Elliott because I do not put Chase Elliott in the same stratosphere as anybody else. Look at it. What is happening back here? I'm getting the Tim Snow dreads going.
Right here on the Fan Upstate. Pregame begins at 5:30 p.m. Kickoff at 7 p.m. Furman, Tennessee Tech, August 31st, right here on the Fan Upstate.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center.
So how's everybody? Go. Oh, Keegan, I just saw your joke. Good work. Good work. It's a pun. I like it. I approve.
My meteorologist Jennifer Wucheats on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 73.
Innovation Refunds does not provide tax or legal advice. We work with an independent network of tax professionals and will share information with them to evaluate and process your claims. Terms and conditions apply. Ties pay spokesman.
I'm Ty Burrell, actor and small business owner. You can trust Innovation Refunds with your small business's ERC claim because of your SOC 2 Type 1 security compliance. And if you're a tech person, you I'm not a tech person, but I did look it up. Without the certification, how can you ensure a company can protect your information? It's not like here on the radio, where all you secure is a sensor button. Check it out. So now you won't know my date of birth is.
Okay.
My social security number is. The password to my bank account is Ty's Cool Password 1. The button's broken. Luckily, Innovation Refunds is more reliable. Don't wait. Go to innovationrefunds.com. That's innovationrefunds.com or call 1-843-REFUNDS to get started. Oh, a notification from my bank. Wait, I didn't buy a boat.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
I agree, T2.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate.
Oh,
within
so
the first
sleepy.
day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Oh, I cracked the hull of my new ski boat today. Oh my gosh, why'd you do that? It's not like I was trying to do it, you know. Sorry, that's rough. My bad, bro. Did anyone witness this epic fail? Yes, this video's galore, and now I'm a meme.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could
Yes,
stop
I'm gonna
all
make it.
collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-210-1005. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-210-1005. 800-210-1005. That's 800-210-1005.
At Ingles, we're proud to sponsor area athletics at all levels. Whether we're building new fields for T-ball, celebrating Friday night rivals, televising college basketball games, bringing the Fan Fest to semi-pro soccer, or taking you out to the ball game at your minor league party. We're here for the fans. No one gets the dedication to the home team like you guys. And we've got all the sports you can handle. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Skrilla, James, welcome in, fellas. Good to have you guys. We are going to give away 2 tickets to the Furman Paladins Thursday night game. Timmy Snow, we will do that in the last hour of the show, and I'll hype it here.
All right.
At Corley Plumbing, Air, and Electric, we offer flexible financing options with low monthly payment to meet your needs. Call Corley Plumbing, Air, and Electric today or book online, CorleyPro.com. That's CorleyPro.com.
More than the score. Real sports talk for real sports.
Talking a little college football here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Ever so glad to have you guys. 844-326-3663. That is the fan phone line to get in on the show today. And you're going to want to have that written down. Why? You might ask. Well, I will be happy to tell you why. The reason that you will want that phone number written down is that coming up in the second hour of the show, somewhere between 10 and 11 a.m., so make sure that you are going to be listening, all right? Somewhere in the second hour of the show, we are going to be giving away 2 tickets to this Thursday night's Furman Paladins football game at Paladin Stadium on the campus of Furman University. And we will be giving away those 2 tickets with a chance to become our grand prize winner, because we're going to give away 2 tickets today. We're going to give away 2 tickets tomorrow. We are going to give away 2 tickets on Thursday morning. Mark Ryan, Offsides with Mark Ryan, we'll be giving away 2 tickets tonight. We'll be giving away 2 tickets tomorrow. And of those 5 ticket winners, the 3 on this show, the 2 on Offsides, of those 5 ticket winners, ladies and gentlemen, one of you is going to become our grand prize winner. And our grand prize winner is going to be upgraded. You are going to be upgraded away from the tickets we gave you and up to, not 2, but 4. 4 club seat tickets. Oh, yeah, and oh, by the way, a parking pass to boot. All right, so you're going to park right up by the stadium. You're going to go in. You're going to get your FU all the time gear, all right? Then you're going to go up to the club level seats, and you are going to sit in style and comfort and relaxation. It's the Rob Brown experience. You're going to get 4 club seat tickets at the Furman game coming up this Thursday night if you are our grand prize winner. But to be our grand prize winner, you've got to be one of our 5 2-ticket winners, and that is going to start coming up in the next hour of the show. So make sure you go nowhere and make sure you got those phones ready to dial 844-326-3663. All right. Who has more pressure on them to be successful this year? Is it Shane Beamer or is it Dabo Swinney? I got to ask that question this morning. I was in with PJ Glasser and Chelsea Messenger on the Daily Tip on the BetQL Network. So I did a little interview with them this AM. They asked me some college football questions. I answered them, and one of the questions that they asked me was the question I'm asking you right now. Who faces more pressure? PJ said he thinks it's actually Shane Beamer. He said he's got all of this momentum built. Said he's got all of this, this tidal wave of excitement out of the fans, out of the school. Everybody's looking at South Carolina thinking, man, they're in the right direction, right? They are pointed in the right direction. And if he goes out there and does not succeed, if he goes out there and he does not win, all that goes away. Chelsea said she thinks it's Dabo. She said it kind of feels like you kind of get the vibe right now that Clemson's kind of teetering on the edge. They're kind of teetering on the edge of going from that group of the elite and falling down into that second tier of college football programs. And now it's kind of an interesting spot here. And I told her I do not agree with that. I told her what I told you guys yesterday. I think that this team, this program, this school, should they fail this year, will be in that spot next year, but I don't think they're there this year as of yet. Let's not pretend like Clemson wasn't a point away from being in the playoff last year, yeah? So, in your eyes, who faces more pressure to succeed this year? Is it Dabo or is it Shane? Now, I answered that question by saying I think it needed a setup, right? I think we really had to kind of set a definition. We kind of had to agree on what success or failure meant for these two schools. Now, I kind of laid this out for you yesterday. And I will roll with it again. We don't need to spend a ton of time on it because I've already kind of beaten this horse dead. But in order to define success and failure, I think we've got to go both schools and just look at the possibilities. And I told you guys yesterday that I think South Carolina has three possible conclusions to the season: success, failure, or stagnation. Success, failure, or stagnation. Clemson has two: success or failure. Now, what's the difference between the two? The difference between the two is this: when you are on top of the mountain, the only success is to stay on top of the mountain. When you are on top of the mountain, anything other than staying on top of the mountain is going down, is sliding backwards, is falling. If Clemson does anything but make the playoffs, it will become at that point very evident that they are no longer on top of the mountain. If they do anything other than make the playoffs, it will be a failure. Failure to me is moving backwards. I am not one of these people who believes, well, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. That's not necessarily true. It is true if and only if you are using outside influences to dictate your positioning. Now, There are times when that is the right way to handle business, and there's times when that's the wrong way to handle business, right? In golf, it's the wrong way to handle business. In golf, if you ever start scoreboard watching, you will fail, right? Because it changes the way you play the game. In NASCAR, obviously, it matters a lot because the goal is who can get from here to here the fastest. For South Carolina, I don't think you can be looking and trying to compare yourself to anybody else right now, right? You can't look at Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida State. You can't look at any of those schools and go, they are doing X, therefore we must be doing X plus 1. Can't do it. You have got to be working internally to build the best that you can build. And sometimes you got to stay put for a minute to get better, right? I used to be an athlete back in the day. It was a very long time ago. But I used to be real big into lifting weights. I need to get back into it again. I did hit the gym like 3 times last week, y'all. It hurt a lot. It sucked. It didn't suck. It felt great. The days after sucked hard. Anyway, if you lift weights, you'll get told that if you go in one day and you rip out a bunch of bench presses, you don't go back in the next day and rip another bunch of bench presses. You got to give yourself time to heal. Those muscle fibers time to reconnect and strengthen themselves. That's how you get those big, super sweet pecs like me. That's how you do it. South Carolina's kind of in that mode, right? Like if they stagnate this year, I'm saying not get better, but not get worse. They finish the year and you go, okay, it's kind of what we saw last season. That's not the end of the world. That's not the end of the world. It's not the best thing that could happen, but it's not the end of the world. Clemson doesn't have that option. Clemson either is going to be at the top of the pecking order or it's a failure. Anything less than top 4, in my opinion, is a failure. Now, before anybody starts beating me up, do you understand that this is a compliment? I am giving you a compliment. I am saying you are still in the class of the elite, the elite. You are still at the front of the class. You may not currently be the valedictorian, but you're on the damn honor roll. And you should be real happy about being on the honor roll. And if you're on the honor roll, you still have a chance to be the valedictorian. If you don't make the honor roll, you don't. So this is a compliment, but I am also saying that if you were on the honor roll, the pressure is much higher on you, unless you just don't care. But I don't get the impression Clemson fans are fine with slipping back to where they were in 2008. Probably not, right? That's why there's more pressure on Dabo Swinney. Because if Shane stagnates, Shane stagnates. If Shane fails, and this team goes 6-6 or worse, which, by the way, I don't think they will. But if they go 6-6 or worse, I told PJ Glasser this morning, you know what I honestly think? There are 2 consequences for Shane Beamer if this team fails. And I don't think they will. But if this team fails, there are 2 consequences. Consequence number 1 is that nobody's going to want to see the fun-loving, happy-go-easy program mentality anymore. Nobody's going to want you cranking out skits where you replicate scenes from The Office if you're 6-6. I want you on a phone working the boosters and working the recruits. So it will be a shift in the attitude, the view of this program. I think the second thing is, by direct consequence of the first thing, it's going to get a little tougher to recruit, right? How much did that Tennessee and that Clemson game help South Carolina with their recruiting this offseason? I can't put a direct number on it, but I got to say probably a good solid chunk. And then you add in all those fun videos and social media posts and all these different things, right? You add all that in, and it kind of gets to a spot where it feels like recruiting's gone well based on the end of last season, but if they slide backwards, that mojo's gone too. But I don't think any South Carolina fans are going to start asking questions about whether Shane's the guy or not. I scratch that. A few will. I don't know that enough are going to that it's going to matter. I don't know if enough are going to start asking questions about Shane, that Shane's going to feel that pressure after a single failure. Dabo, on the other hand, and I'll ask this question to Clemson fans. I'll let you guys tell me if I'm wrong. If Dabo fails this year, if the Clemson Tigers fail this year, and I do not have them picked to win the ACC, if the Clemson Tigers fail this year, I do think Clemson fans start asking questions about Dabo Swinney next year. Now, I understand you guys love the guy. I get it. I've met Dabo 5-6 times so far since I've been here. 2 times at media days, 2 days on campus, 1 after a game. Great guy. All right? I'm not arguing with you. But I'm also going to sit here and say, as long as you guys were mired in mediocrity and watching Florida State dominate this conference, do you want to, seeing that FSU is seemingly improving year by year, if you have kind of hit that spot where the old ways have passed and the new ways have cometh to be, are you going to ride with the guy who embodies the old ways? I think at some point you're going to go, nah. When I was broadcasting down in the Florida Panhandle many moons ago, at the very end of the tenure of one Robert Bowden, Bobby, at the end of the Bobby Bowden era, a guy that I promise you Florida State fans loved as much as you love Dabo, if not more. When it came to the end of the Bobby Bowden era, the game had passed Bobby by. He could not keep up anymore. And Florida State fans gave him probably a couple of extra years to ride it out because of how much they loved the guy, because of how much he had done for the Noles. But there came a point where they went, we can't do this anymore, man. We can't do this anymore. We can't be 9-3 every year. We can't not win the ACC. And I truly think that Florida State kind of had to make the hardest decision that's probably ever been made in that athletics office and go to Bobby and go, hey, look, man, we love you. We want you to be an ambassador. We're going to build a statue of you outside the stadium. We're going to name the field after you. I'm going to call the shot. At some point in the next 10 to 15 years, they're going to change it from Doak Campbell Stadium to Bobby Bowden Stadium. It's going to happen, right? But they had to make that move because they were worried about being dragged down into mediocrity. I get it with Dabo. I understand. But if he fails this year, and again, I will let you guys tell me if I'm going too far. To me, failure is anything less than an ACC title game. Not game, win. To me, anything less than winning the ACC as the Las Vegas betting odds-on favorite to do so will be a failure. And if you fail this year, the questions next year about being bridesmaids and never brides will be fair. So I don't think there is a question here, in my opinion. There is no question here. Dabo Swinney is under more pressure than Shane Beamer is, in my ever so humble estimation. Do you agree? 844-326-3663 is the phone number to jump on board. You can text me on the carpros.com text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air. You can also tweet, threads, or X me if you want to, at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1, hour number 2. We look ahead to some of the games for this weekend. We'll go ahead and get the early thoughts in on Clemson Duke, on South Carolina, North Carolina, on FSU, LSU, and all the other big top 25 games of the weekend. That's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. And y'all are quiet in the chat today, fellas. Where's everybody?
Chuck Sanders. Here's the sports flash on the Fan Upstate. College football this week. Wake Forest opens the season Thursday night at home against Elon. NC State's on the road at UConn. NC-A&T heads to UAB. Furman at home against Tennessee Tech. Saturday, the Tar Heels visit South Carolina. Next Monday night, Duke plays host to Clemson. East Carolina visits Michigan. South Carolina State at Charlotte. The Braves pounded the Rockies 14-4 in Denver on Monday. Big night for Ronald Acuna Jr. He tied his career high with 4 hits with 5 RBI. He hit his 29th home run and stole a pair of bases, increasing his major league leading.
All right, guys, real quick. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
30-60 player. He also leads the major.
Post the job on ZipRecruiter. Get a quality.
All right, y'all. We back. Thanks for hanging out.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're all set with your new Navien water heater.
I can't wait to take a shower without running out of hot water. I'm just gonna love my Navien tankless water heater. I just want to say
Oh, no need to say that, ma'am. You'll always love Navien's high efficiency that will save you money on gas bills compared to other water heaters.
I love how I have more space with its wall-hanging design. Please let me say
Nope, sorry, miss. I know you appreciate it, but I can't let you say it.
Why not?
Because with Navien, it's a tankless job.
How long you been waiting to use that?
You'd be surprised.
Find a Navien installer near you at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Like any good agent, we're here for the open house, for the closing, for handing over keys. But because we're realtors, we're here for so much more. Agents who are realtors volunteer at nearly 3 times the national average. We're working to broaden access to credit, increase affordable housing supply, and ensure fair housing for all. Realtors are bound by a code of ethics. We're here for it all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Missing your NFL team's out-of-market games? Not a great plan. A much better plan? Switch to My Plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and Unlimited Plus. That's a value of up to $449. Get every out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. Switch to My Plan at your Verizon store today. And for a limited time, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and Unlimited Plus. It's your Verizon. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24 only. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refunds.
Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Make the Fan Upstate.
Wrapping up hour number 1 on the Rob Brown Show. T2 in for Lonzo. I am Rob. 844-326-3663 is the phone number to be a part of the radio broadcast today. You can text us on the carpros.com text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the radio broadcast. Texter says, FAN, I don't think it's quite fair to say Dabo is at risk of getting booted after the season, but I would agree that anything less than an ACC championship would be an extreme disappointment, end quote. All right, let me clarify here, Texter, if you don't mind. I did not say Dabo would get the boot. I didn't say it yesterday. I'm not saying it today. I won't say it tomorrow. I won't say it at the end of the season unless some ridiculous 6-6 record gets turned in. And spoiler alert, it will not. What I said yesterday, what I will say today, what I will say tomorrow, and through the rest of the season is this. If the Tigers do anything less than win the ACC, which, by the way, is in question, okay? Clemson opened when the lines hit at like plus 210 to win this conference again, all right? Like plus 210. Since then, they are now at, they opened at like plus 110, not 210. They opened at like plus 110 to win this conference. They were the odds-on favorites. They still are. But that line for Clemson has now moved to plus 140. Florida State opened when these lines dropped at like plus 270 to win the ACC. They are now at plus 170. So the line for Clemson has become longer, and the line for FSU has become shorter because a lot of people have started to pile on to the hype wagon for the Noles this year. I don't have a problem with anybody picking either one of those two teams. I don't. I think either one of those teams is a fine pick to win the conference. But if Clemson does not win the ACC championship, I do not believe that Dabo will get the boot. Your words, not mine. What I said was, and what I will say is, that if he does anything short of win the ACC championship, then next year will be the most scrutinized offseason of Dabo Swinney's career. Okay? Let me scratch that and clarify before somebody gets all up in my Cheerios. Outside of the first one, when y'all didn't know if you made the right hire or not, right? When Dabo got hired, and a lot of Clemson fans were like, what are we doing? Who is this guy, right? Why are we moving this guy into the HC role? Why are we not going out to find a dude? But I'd say that worked out pretty well for you. I think you would too. I think this would be, if he does anything short of win the ACC championship, I think it would become the most scrutinized post-championship offseason of Dabo Swinney's tenure at Clemson. I think there will be a lot of questions asked about the process, about the system, about recruiting, right? And I don't think that that would be unfair either. It is hard unless you are a legacy program, unless you are an Alabama, unless you are a Florida State. And I'm not saying Clemson's not. But when you fall off of the pedestal, it is damn hard to climb back on it. And we are about to enter a very volatile period in college football. We are changing the conferences. We are changing the postseason. We have NIL. We have the transfer portal. Recruiting rules have changed. We're into, I wouldn't even say we're entering. We are in a very volatile period in college football. And volatility makes the job more difficult no matter what job you're in. So, if Clemson does fall off the pedestal, and yes, I would absolutely say that doing anything shy of winning the Atlantic Coast Conference, I am even willing to say if Clemson wins the ACC and does not make the playoff because they are the first 11-1 team that is left out, right? If they go 12-0, well, I should say 13-0. If they are 13-0, they are in the playoffs. If they do not lose a game, they're in the playoffs. Sure, obviously. Duh. Yeah, got it. Thanks, detective. If they are 12-1 with an ACC championship win, and they are left out, because there is absolutely a possibility. As it stands right now, with the 4 teams I have going to the playoff, I've got not one but 2 conferences, Power 5 conferences, not represented in the 14 bracket. I do not have a Pac-12 team in. I do not have a Big 12 team in. I have 2 SEC teams, 1 ACC team, and 1 Big 10 team. If Clemson goes 12-1, wins the ACC, and for whatever reason, again, highly unlikely, but is left out, a 12-1 conference champ and they get left out of the Final Four, that to me is still a success. Because in 90% of years, that's a playoff berth. But if they don't win the ACC outright, at that point, I would make the argument that questions will begin, and I think those questions will be more than fair. Will be more than fair. Texter said, Rob, 6 schools, let me go find the rest of that text. 6 schools have won titles over the last 12 years. Clemson is on that list. Michigan, Notre Dame, Texas, USC ain't on that list. It's not as easy as want plus talent equals championship. Dude, I agree. I've said this on the show. One of the most frustrating things in the world for me is when a team gets into the playoffs, college or pros, and they go, what a moment, this team hasn't made the playoffs since 2018. And it's like, yeah, dude, only 4 get to do it. It's their first Super Bowl appearance since 2016. Yeah, it's pretty damn good, actually. That's pretty good. It's hard to do. Only a couple teams get to do it. And that is exactly why I think from yesterday, I have walked back from where I was. Yesterday, I said ACC championship and a playoff berth. I think I will walk the playoff berth back unless they are like a 10-2 ACC. Well, I guess in that case, 11-2 ACC champion. I think at that point, I'd have to say it's a failure. If you get left out at 13-0, well, scratch that. You won't get left out at 13-0. If you get left out at 12-1, that's not a failure. But at the same time, while you go, only 6 schools have done it, it's not that easy. I agree. But you don't want to get knocked off the pedestal if you don't have to, because it's hard to climb back on it. I think that proves that point. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We can keep this conversation going, get some more in. It's the Rob Brown Show. Hour 2 is next right here on the Fan Upstate.
Against Tennessee Tech. Hi, everybody. Dan Scott, voice of the Paladins here, inviting you to join David Cobb, Marcus Morris, Tom Van Hoy, and me as we bring you all the action of the season opener.
All right, I got the promo suite up.
Okay.
You're only giving away one today?
One group of 2 tickets, correct.
Okay. And you have 3 all week?
All right, guys, we're going to work out some technical difficulties. We will be right back. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry about that. We had to get some stuff worked out about our Furman ticket giveaway later.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on the Fan Upstate.
Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. $60 in the books, $120 left to go. Be a part of it, won't you? 844-326-3663. Make sure you program that number into your phone and save it, because coming up here in, I don't know, about 34 minutes from right now, Tim Snow, the Timinator, has a pair of tickets to this Thursday night's Furman football game that he wants to give to you. But in order to give them to you, you are going to have to be caller number, I don't know, we'll see when we get there. We make this up as we go, like everything.
Yep.
At about 10:34-ish ballpark, we're going to give away a pair of tickets. You will be in attendance this Thursday evening when the Furman Paladins open up their season in week 1 against Tennessee Tech. And this is a big game, not just because the Dins want to get started with a dub, but they want to make sure all the kinks are worked out. They want to make sure that they are flowing right now. By the way, don't call right now looking for the tickets. 10:34. I mean, answer just in case, Tim. Maybe somebody just wants to talk a little Gamecock football, Tiger football, or Paladin football. But I would say this game is big for the Furman Paladins as they get set, not just to try to open up with a dub, but to get the kinks worked out, because Furman going into Willie B is not an unwinnable game. All right. It's a big ask for Coach Hendricks and the boys, but it is not impossible. If Furman plays in week 2 this year, like they played at Clemson last year, and if South Carolina is not drilled and dialed in, Furman could pull a massive upset. If you're a Gamecock fan getting mad at that, I would advise you to take a closer look, because the Dins can go to Willie B and win that game. It is a night game. It's going to be tough because it's week 2. The excitement is still going to be big, especially if the Gamecocks can knock off the Tar Heels in week 1. If South Carolina's 1-0 with a win over North Carolina in week 1, it's going to be loud at the Willie B next Saturday night when the Dins come marching in, right? If they fall to North Carolina and there's a bit of a deflation of the program because of an L against Drake May, then you might really see something interesting. We'll talk more about that when we get a little bit closer. Let's take a look at some of the comments you guys left at the end of hour number 1. Texter texted the show and said, Messi! Yeah, we need to talk a little bit more about Leo Messi because he keeps scoring the goals. We'll talk about that. Texter said, do you think the shooting in North Carolina will affect the game Saturday? I've no take on it. I have heard nothing so far. I have heard nothing so far about any impact on the game. Listen, it was a tragic situation. It was, it just sucks. This whole thing just sucks, and it keeps happening. I do not know if there is an impact on the game. It does not appear that there is one, but we'll see what changes might take place. Texter said, JD texted in and said, I keep telling y'all Clemson will be more than okay. Riley takes all the pressure off Dabo, in my opinion. That offense will be working. It's from JD. JD, appreciate that text, buddy. Look, I have no doubt that Garrett Riley is going to work out to be a great hire. My doubt is not Garrett Riley. In fact, let me rephrase that. There's not really doubt for me, right? Like, I did not pick Clemson to win the ACC. And I get, oh, yeah, doubter, hater, Rob, you hater. This is not doubt in Clemson. I just don't think that people recognize how impressive the assembly of skill position players Florida State has put together is, and they've got a real good defense this year, right? We could say the same thing about Clemson. Questions about the wide receiver that I don't have about Florida State. Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, the team is going to have players on the outside. Jordan Now, I'm not saying that Bo and Co. on the outside for Clemson won't be excellent. They might be. I'm saying I know what Johnny Wilson can do. I know what Keon Coleman can do. I absolutely believe that Jaheim Bell's going to be a stud. I told you guys, I sat in on, Sunday night? I will go on because Rob Brown loves a mic and a camera. Any podcast that wants me on, no problem. I love doing them. They're fun to me. It's like all the heat, none of the responsibility of putting it together. Big fan. I sat in on there was a group of guys. The Welcome Home pod is the South Carolina pod. And by the way, if there's any Clemson fans that want me on your pod, I'm in. Just let me know. Email me, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. I love doing that stuff. It's fun for me. Anyway, I sat in on that pod, and I said, Shane Beamer's made a critical mistake. Shane Beamer not creating an environment for Jaheim Bell to thrive is a mistake. And I'm not saying Jaheim Bell handled his business in his departure the correct way. I don't think he did. But I also think Jaheim Bell is how old? What is he, 19, 20 years old? I don't expect Jaheim Bell to be, he's 22. All right, still. I don't expect Jaheim Bell, a freak athlete, to be a world-class businessman and exude professionalism. Some kids can, but I don't expect it. It's a nice little benefit if they do, but I don't expect it. I will say, as I have said in the past, I think that Shane Beamer made a critical mistake in letting this guy go. And Jordan Travis and Mike Norvell are going to take full advantage of that. My picking FSU in the ACC is not, I'm down on Clemson. I think Garrett Riley is going to show exactly why he was the hottest name in the coaching talent pool this offseason. I'm going to say I think Garrett Riley is going to prove it. I have a couple of questions. I have a question about Cade Klubnik. Is he the guy? For the record, we interviewed Cade back at ACC Media Days a month and a half or whatever it was ago. And I like this kid. I told him in the interview that I have read multiple places that described Cade Klubnik as having, and I quote, big golden retriever energy, end quote. And I did that for a reason. I wanted to see his reaction to that. Because I think that there are some guys. I think there are some guys that are going to be offended by a statement like that. Put off by a statement like that. They're, I'm a Rottweiler, baby. And then there are other guys who were going to be like, all right, whatever. And then there are guys that are going to embrace it. And he embraced it. He was like, I hadn't heard that before. I'm cool with it. It's a compliment to me, right? Golden retrievers are wonderful. I like the kid. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's not lacking confidence, it does not seem. But see, here's the thing, and this is why I think it's fair to question if he's the guy. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope he thrives. He seems like a genuinely good kid. I hope he thrives. But I don't think it's unfair to ask questions about whether he will or won't, because all of the things that I have said about Cade, I said about DJ as well. Met him in ACC Media Days and really liked him. Check mark, check mark. Carried himself with great confidence. Check mark, check mark. Didn't back away from weird and or tough questions. Check mark, check mark. All of the things that we have said about Cade, we said about DJ too. All the things that you guys as Clemson fans tried to tell me about Cade Klubnik, you told me about DJ too. Incredible recruit, Rob. There's no way he misses. Check mark, check mark. He's got all the throws in the bag, Rob. Check mark, check mark. He can make plays with his legs as well as his arms, Rob. Check mark, check mark. All the things that you guys told me about DJ Uiagalelei, you are telling me about Cade Klubnik as well. And it did not work out with DJ. Now, I will say this. I think that top to bottom, there is one massive difference between DJ Uiagalelei and Cade Klubnik. And I know I've hit on this a million times, so we won't hang here, but I think it's important to notate. I don't think Cade Klubnik is walking into this role with the ego, I think is the word I want to use here, that DJ Uiagalelei did. And I've told you a number of times, I don't put the blame on DJ Uiagalelei. I've told you where I put the blame. I put the blame on his pops, and to some degree, I put the blame on Dabo Swinney. I think that those guys pumped him up. I think that those guys inflated him before he did anything. I think they made him believe that just by strapping that tiger paw on the dome and being QB1, that it was going to kind of be easy. I think they made him believe that it was just going to kind of be easy. That it was just going to be something that they rolled out there and did. That it was going to be something that, hey man, you're Clemson's quarterback. You're a Heisman finalist by default, right? I get that vibe. I don't get that vibe with Cade Klubnik. I don't know who Cade Klubnik's dad is, right? We all knew Big Dave. For the record, I interviewed DJ Uiagalelei 3 times on this radio station, and I am relatively sure that Big Dave was on the air more. I am relatively sure that Big Dave got more airtime on this station than DJ, the quarterback, did. The QB's dad got more airtime here than the quarterback did. I told you my favorite illustration of this was when they were flying into game 1 last year, and Dabo pointed down at the stadium as they flew over, and he's like, see that? That's where you're going to be throwing all them touchdowns, right? I think DJ got a lot of, this is what you're going to do, as opposed to, here is what we need you to do. And I think it latched on. I don't get that vibe from Cade Klubnik. I don't get the vibe that, and again, I don't know the kid. I talked to him one time for about 12 combined minutes. But I don't get that vibe from him. I don't get that vibe from him that he is overconfident to the point of cockiness. I don't get the vibe from him that he is bigger than the scene, right? I don't get that vibe from him. He does not strike me that way. And because he does not strike me that way, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying I've got a little more confidence that he will be successful. Oh, and by the way, we know that the offensive coordinator was a massive problem at Clemson last year. It was rectified. When Dabo gets rid of a Dabo guy, right? The narrative was and has been for a while. Dabo brings in Dabo guys. He hires Dabo guys. He brings in Dabo guys. He promotes Dabo guys. And if you're not a Dabo guy, you don't have a crack at it. Well, he got rid of a Dabo guy in Brandon Streeter. He moved on from a Dabo guy, and he brought in not just an outsider, but he brought in an outsider that was that hot commodity. And he brought in a guy who knows how to grow a quarterback. Max Duggan at TCU was a Heisman Trophy finalist. Max Duggan yesterday got cut by the LA Chargers. They brought him in to give him a crack at being Justin Herbert's backup, and he could not do it. He just was not good enough. That, to me, says that Garrett Riley knew how to get the most out of that kid. So I think it's a great hire. I do not for a second think that Clemson's not going to be good. And anybody who's telling you Rob Brown thinks Clemson's going to, I think Clemson is going to be good. What I'm saying is I think FSU is going to be good, and I think the rest of the ACC is going to be the best it's ever been, which means that Clemson is going to play, and I believe this, the toughest regular season schedule that they have played in many, many years. Many, many years. They are going to have some battles this year, and I think they'll win most of, if not all of them, because of Garrett Riley, because of Cade Klubnik, because of that running back room, which is going to be one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. That running back room is going to be special. What I'm saying is I think they got caught by Florida State. Doesn't mean they're not better. I just think they got caught. Which is why it is unfortunate for them that in a year where success is defined by ACC championship, right? That's it. That is the mark. Anything less than an ACC championship is a failure. It is unfortunate that in a year that success is defined by ACC championship, the rest of the ACC has gotten better from top to bottom and makes it harder to do than it has been at any point in the last 8 years. Truly, sincerely believe that. Texture said, I would guess 80% of 5-star quarterbacks produce like 3 stars. We shall see how Cade does the next 2 seasons. Right. Again, DJ, the thing that has been remarkable about Clemson is how many quarterbacks they did hit on one after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next. That's what was so damn impressive. Now they got to do it again. Because if they miss on Cade Klubnik, if he's not that guy, and we'll find out, because that Clemson-Duke game is a battle of a couple of highly touted QBs. There's more talent around Cade Klubnik, without a doubt. But if they miss, if the moment's too big for Cade Klubnik, if the season is too big for Cade Klubnik, because remember, he's not just got the pressure of being QB1. He's got the pressure of being QB1 at a school that for the past decade has been QBU. And he's got the pressure of being QB1 at QBU in a year where Clemson is trying to prove that they are still in that top echelon of college football programs. That's a lot of pressure for a young cat. And if he can't handle it, if the moment is too big for him and he's not capable of navigating it, then yes, the cameras and the microphones turn to Dabo and go, what is going on? What is happening? What happened? And what is next? And I don't think it will be unfair to ask those questions. And as I said on the BetQL Network this morning, outside noise distracts. It just does. You can say it doesn't, but outside noise distracts. You can have the most disciplined coach in America, Nick Saban. But outside noise distracts. Questions are outside noise. And so if people start asking about the outside noise, and that outside noise grows and grows and grows, it can and will have an impact. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments on the stream, then we'll run to a break. Skrilla said, if and only if Dabo loses to U of SC and Shano beams for a second straight year and don't make the playoffs, he will be in hotter water than if Shane and the Dirty Birds were to lose and make a bowl game. I would agree. He goes on to say, me being a Georgia fan, obviously seeing what Shane is doing and has done in Columbia makes me think he has a bit of a longer leash at this point than Dabo. I don't think Dabo Swinney's on a short leash. Let me be clear. He is not on a hot seat. I'm saying if they fail this year, he will be questioned next year. I don't even think he's on a hot seat next year. I just think they will start asking questions. James said, I'm just going to say, thank God the season is here. Yeah, I know. Aren't these conversations more fun when there's football within 6 days? Joey B Says Dabo's got 2 rings and a long contract. He's not getting fired for any reason. Clemson doesn't have the kind of money to pay Dabo until 2031 and to pay to bring in a new elite coach. Again, I'm not suggesting Dabo's going to get fired. I guess I got to make that more clear. I do not think Dabo is on a hot seat. I do not think Dabo will be on a hot seat next year. I am saying that the questions will be rolling in next year if they fail this year, and those questions will be fair. Roger says the programs are in 2 different places. Clemson should win the ACC and be in the playoffs every year. U of SC should try and finish top 25 this year, top 20 next, top 15 the following, top 10, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's very fair, Roger. I think that's abundantly fair. Clemson should be angling to continue their run of ACC dominance. Clemson should, if Florida State is as good as the hype machine's making them sound right now, at the worst, Clemson should be splitting ACC titles with FSU every year, but that's at the absolute best. The absolute best. Jacob says, I think Carolina's going to be hot because Rattler is going to want a great season for him to go to the NFL. Oh, yeah, listen. That's the reason Spencer Rattler came back. Spencer Rattler came back to bump up the draft stock because he didn't have any last year. Then he had those last 2 games of the season, and everybody went, uh-oh. Sometimes something clicks. Did something click in those last 2 games? Spencer Rattler is coming back to prove this year that it did. That's the guy that he is. And if he's right, the Gamecocks are going to shock some people. But if he's wrong, if he just had 2 good games and that was it, could be a long year. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We got more to get into. We got some NFL news. We do have some cuts that are starting to roll in around the NFL. We're going to tell you who's in and who is out. We haven't even talked about the final Carolina Panther preseason game of the year against Detroit. BY got that first TD. Is the lid off? We'll talk about that. And coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to give away a pair of tickets to Thursday night's Furman game at the house as they get set week 1, Tennessee Tech. I got 2 tickets for a lucky winner in just about, we'll call it, 10, 15 minutes. Make sure you're listening. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, give us just a minute. We'll be right back. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out.
You kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get.
This is an important message to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
If you're high, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.
What are you doing giveaway now, right?
End of this segment. It'll be a short segment. Get back on the clock.
Oh, we got so used to being over there. We got another minute and 15 seconds.
ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Jim Gaffigan here.
Man, y'all got the good chairs, man.
I had to fight to get this one.
Damn, I'm jealous. You can roll in these. I tell you, I went over to Word yesterday and tried to roll like I was rolling over here. Almost fell over.
You can't roll in that room.
I almost fell over.
I was in on Pulse one Saturday, like a year ago, and I pushed myself back so we were coming back on air, and I grabbed the desk to pull myself forward.
That's what I do,
and
yeah.
The chair didn't move, so I literally pulled myself forward. The chair tipped forward, and I went like gut first into the desk. I was like, dude, if I hit that thing hard enough and taken that desk out, sheesh.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to me yesterday. I went to move and I like almost fell all the way over.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to move on to some new stuff because I don't want to spend the whole show on this. Texter said, Rob, football success is not by the way, not all of these texts start with the word Rob. I just got into the habit of reading them as if they were addressed to me. All right, I know, because somebody said they're like, I didn't say Rob in my yeah, I know. But I'm hosting the show. I assume they're sent to me. All right. Anyway, if you want to, Tim, football success there. Is that better? Football success is not linear. You fire Saban for not winning the SEC or championship last year? LOL. No, listen, let me be clear about a few things. Number one, do not directly contrast the ACC to the SEC because, lol, no. It's not the same game, dude. I'm sorry. I hope one day it is. I would love for the ACC to be in the same place as the Southeastern Conference, but it's not. It's just not. And I am the dude that has been historically known to get riled up when I hear the SEC chants. All right, it drives me nuts. No, Mississippi State, you don't get credit for a damn thing. I'm not trying to hear Kentucky fans chanting SEC. You've done nothing to contribute. But even as that guy, the reality is the ACC is not as good, right? So I do think it tracks to say that the expectations for Clemson, if they are indeed still one of the elite upper echelon teams in college football, I don't think it's unfair to say the expectation should be set at conference championship this year. And I think anything less is undervaluing. And one last time, and after this, I am done.
I am not saying Dabo Swinney can, should, or will be fired.
Are we abundantly clear? I have not said he should. I have not said he will. I have not said he can. I have said nothing more than, listen closely, dear listener, if, with a capital I and a capital F, if Clemson does not win the ACC this year for a second consecutive season, if they do not win the conference, a very winnable conference, it's them and FSU. Maybe North Carolina makes a little noise, but they're not as good. If Clemson does not win the conference this year, and that's a big if, then next year it will be fair to begin asking questions about the direction of the program, about whether or not the program is still in that top tier, if. And all I've said is it will be fair to ask questions and nothing more. Are we still handling our business the same way? What has changed? What has gone sideways? Here's the thing. If you've ever worked a corporate job, and as fun as it is for us to sit here and talk into microphones and call it a real job, we work for a big corporation called Odyssey. And if Odyssey has a year where the profit margin is below expectations, we all look at them and go, that's not great. If we have a second year consecutively where that happens, then the people with decision-making power at our company begin asking questions. The people who work here begin asking questions. Why? What is happening? What is our model? What are our tactics? What are we doing differently now that we weren't doing before? What are we doing the same now that's not working that we were doing before? At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, football programs in college football must be treated as money-making endeavors, as businesses. That's how you have to run it. Do you know why? Because that's what they are. End of story. And if you don't think that's what they are, I would love for you then to explain to me conference realignment. I got into a conversation yesterday with former Gamecock wide receiver Tim Frisbee. Love Timmy. Got into a conversation with Tim Frisbee where he said, everything is about football acumen. What football acumen does Stanford, Cal, and SMU bring to the ACC if they are admitted? And I told Timmy Frisbee, guy, it has nothing to do with football prowess. Like, I know as fans, we want to pretend it does, but it doesn't. The reason that SMU, Cal, and Stanford are getting another look from the ACC is not because they're going to make ACC football better. It has nothing to do with that. The reason that they're going to get a second look is twofold. Number one, SMU, should they catch an invite, are willing to float their own boat for a half a decade, 5 years. The ACC would get the benefit of SMU joining. Remember, if a team joins the ACC in the contract that is the grant of rights agreement, ESPN has to pay the ACC one more full share of profit. SMU will not see a dime of that money because their boosters have said, we'll float our own athletic department for a half a decade. That's money into the pot for the ACC to lean on while they figure out the next step over the next 5 years. If Cal and Stanford come in, they have already said to offset the travel cost that current ACC members will have to experience in order to fly teams of every sport out to California to play, they will take 70%. That is 30% of two schools' shares, so 60% of a full share that can be used to cover the travel expenses for the current ACC membership. Then, in return for that, the ACC grows by 3 members who will not vote to disband the conference. Remember, that's important because the disbanding of the conference is the nuclear option for Florida State, Clemson, UNC, NC State, and Miami should they all decide, hey, we got invites elsewhere, right? If the SEC and the Big Ten were to hand out invites to 6 schools in the ACC today, without 3 new members, if they all 6 got invites, they could reach over, push that red button. The ACC doesn't exist anymore. The grant of rights is now irrelevant, and they can all move on. But if you add 3 more members into the mix, and probably in the next year or two, a 4th, if you add 3 or 4 more members to the ACC, the nuclear option does not have enough votes anymore because those 3 schools are certainly not going to vote to disband it. And unless FSU, Clemson, North Carolina State, and Miami, maybe Virginia, can now talk 1 or 2 more schools into joining them, they don't have the number of votes to reach over and push the red button. Now, why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up as proof that college football programs and college football conferences are money-making endeavors and have to be run that way. So, one of the big ways that you can make money is what? Winning conference championships and playing in top caliber bowl games, New Year's Six bowl games, and playoff games. If Clemson is not doing that, and they don't do that for a few years consecutively, then the folks, the brass, the top notch at Clemson are going to look and go, all right, this is now costing us money. This is now costing us money. So we've got to make a change. That's the philosophy. That is why I've said Dabo's not going to be fired, shouldn't be fired, won't be fired. And anybody who says he is or should be is being ridiculous. I am saying those questions start to roll in next year and they'll be justified. Nothing more than that. All right. Tim has a pair of tickets to this Thursday night's Furman Paladins football game. And he would like to give them away right now. If you win these 2 tickets, not only are you guaranteed going to Thursday night's Furman Paladins game against Tennessee Tech at home week 1, but you are also going to be entered into and have a 20% chance of winning our grand prize. What's our grand prize, Rob? I'm ever so glad you asked, hypothetical listener I made up for this exact situation. The grand prize is not 1, not 2. It is 4 club level seats to Thursday night's game, plus a parking pass as well. You are going to get the VIPest of treatments if you are a grand prize winner. But to be our grand prize winner, you've got to win these 2 tickets, and you got to do it right now. So, 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. Tim, we're going for caller number. What number? Tim, make up a number. What caller? 4. Woo! Caller number 4 right now winning a pair of tickets to this Thursday night's Furman Paladins home game, week number 1 as they host Tennessee Tech. Caller number 4 right now is going to win those tickets. Let's run to a break. When we come back, we will be done with this Dabo Clemson stuff. We'll start taking a look at the week 1 schedule because there is plenty that we need to break down. I'm Rob. He is T2. Caller number 4 is going to Thursday night's Furman's game on us. It's the Fan Upstate, y'all.
We only have one.
Be right back, guys. We got to answer the phone.
with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe. The daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none.
The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob. The great one is on vacation this week. Alonzo will rejoin us next week. The Timinator, T2, pulling fill-in work and doing a great job at it. Want to congratulate our buddy Ryan from the Tap Outs and Touchdowns podcast. He was caller number 4 and won a pair of tickets to this Thursday night's football game at Paladin Stadium, taking on Tennessee Tech. We'll also let you know that Ryan is now the first of 5 entered for our grand prize drawing as well. He is going to be entered with a chance to win box seats to go sit at that game, club seats, and a parking pass. So he'll park right up front if he wins. I will also tell you, this is the 5th time that we have done this with Furman, I believe. The 5th time we have given tickets away and done this style of giveaway. And I will tell you, we're going to give away 3 sets of tickets on this show. We're going to give away 2 sets of tickets on Offsides. You can win a pair of tickets today and tomorrow on Offsides with Mark Ryan as well. And those 2 will be entered in the grand prize drawing. We've done this 5 times, and if my memory serves me correctly, I am aging. It is failing. But I believe all 5 times the grand prize winner has come from this show. All right? Look, it's a random draw. They put the 5 names in a computer program. The computer picks one and spits it back out at us. But I believe so far, all 5 of the grand prize winners in the 5 games we've done this with Furman, all 5 of them have come from this show. So I'm just saying you might want to get in. If you did not win today, so, everybody but Ryan, you've got your chance again tomorrow and Thursday, day of the game. We're going to give a couple away as well. So make sure you're listening tomorrow. We will do it tomorrow, probably in the final hour of the show. And then on Thursday in the first hour of the radio broadcast, we'll give those tickets away. And you will have your opportunity to win not only 2 tickets to the Thursday night Furman Paladins home game, week 1 against Tennessee Tech, but you will also be entered into the grand prize drawing to win 4 club seats and a parking pass for that contest as well. And of course, we want to thank our friends over at Furman, Drew Ingram and co, for setting that whole thing up. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I had to tell you, I've been in this game for 15 years. I think this football, as a matter of fact, this football thing, I think this football season will mark the conclusion of 15 years in radio for me. God, I'm old. And I will tell you, the teams that I have loved the most, appreciated the most, enjoyed the most are the teams that genuinely bust it to be involved in their local community. And 2 of the teams I should say 3 of the teams in the area that I think do the best job of that I have ever been around are the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, the Greenville Triumph, and the Furman Paladins. Like, Furman called us. They're like, look, dude, we want to give some tickets away. We want to make sure that people get the chance to come out and see and experience and fall in love with Paladin football and basketball, by the way. And they've done a great job. I don't think I have ever seen a team that is in, about, and around the community as much as the Greenville Triumph. You cannot go downtown without bumping into folks from the Triumph out there doing stuff and being involved. And I don't know that I've ever seen a team that is as charitable in their community as the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. It's like every time that there is anything going on that benefits the community, those teams are there and the bits are out front as well. So we are, as I have mentioned, as I've said 100 times since I've moved here, we are very lucky to have the community support that we have, both for our local programs, but from our local programs as well. They are out there, they are involved, and Furman, the Triumph, and the Bits are at the top of that list, and we are very appreciative of that. All right, coming up in the next hour of the show, because this is 2 hours in the books already. My goodness, time flies when you're making award-winning radio. I got a bunch of stuff I want to run through. It is NFL Cut Day. Today is the day at 4 p.m. that NFL teams must trim themselves down to 53-man rosters. I'll take a look at Carolina's projected 53. We'll give you some of the cuts that they have made so far. By the way, the Panthers made a trade today to boost the wide receiver room a little bit. I'm going to tell you about that coming up in the next hour of the show. We got to talk golf very briefly in the next hour of the show because the Ryder Cup picks, the captain's selections have now been made. And there is a Live Tour golfer representing the Americans. Brooks Koepka is in. Who else? I'm going to tell you coming up in the next hour of the radio broadcast as well, and plenty more. We are going to be absolutely loaded in the next hour of the show. So if you want to get in, now's your opportunity. 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663, or text us on the carpros.com text line 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Tweet me at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, and get involved. Texter said this is proof that the student and student athlete doesn't exist with a prestigious university such as Stanford trying to join the ACC and not the Mountain West Conference. It just shows how much they don't really care about school and care about money. I don't want to hear anybody on academic suspension or probation. Dude, why are you working so hard to put that on the athletes? Do you think this is the athlete's decision? Do you think that the left guard at Stanford is like, yo, ACC, what up? I love how hard y'all work to bust up the athletes like this is their decision. My guys, it's not. They have no voice in this. Why do you always run to jump on the athletes and not the power players? You know, the ones who actually profit from all of this. I'll never understand that. Hour number 3 is just around the corner on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Oh, I like that acoustic.
Adrenaline-packed high school football experience. Tune into the Fan Upstate every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 for the Saturday Morning Scramble. You'll get the latest scores, insight, and exclusive interviews with star athletes and coaches. Plus, I'll be broadcasting live from your local Ingles Market all season. The Saturday Morning Scramble only on the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on your phone on the Odyssey app. Powered by Founders Federal Credit Union.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using.
All right, stream. What are we talking about? Let's get away from college football last hour. Get some NFL in on cut day.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aw, he just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Nos vamos a divertir mucho.
And that means we're going to have a lot of fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free.
Gotcha, Kyle. Okay. All right. Kyle said that was my text. I was referring to the schools, not the athletes. That's fair. So I apologize for misreading the text. All right. I'll start with that. I don't, and again, I don't ever mean anything I say well, sometimes I mean it personally, not this time. Just the way it read to me was banging on the students. Yes, I absolutely have no problem saying the schools do not care about their academics when it comes to football, but they can't, dude. And again, this is why I've got no ill will towards any group in this conversation. They can't. It is a money-making necessarily Oh. If you can still hear me, I'll be right back because I accidentally closed my computer laptop screen and it cut me off the stream because I'm an idiot.
I should be able to still hear you.
Yeah. Hang on, coming back.
Now he's ready. Go to work. It's Sunday. Irish Spring. Spring hits you. You're ready. Pick up Irish Spring today.
Attention all football fans. Are you ready to
Oh, hi. There I am. That's fair. All right, cool. We're good. We're good. Keegan, you just feeling yourself today, aren't you, buddy? Just feeling yourself today. I respect it. I really do. Just when you inevitably start your creativity podcast, if you start streaming, no, I will be there.
Mad World Haunted Attraction opens September 8th. Voted South Carolina's #1 haunted house and one of America's top stream parks. Located in Piedmont off I-85 exit 35. Grab your friends and get ready to stream. Buy your tickets now at madworldattractions.com.
Right now at Wendy's, when you buy either a Dave's single spicy chicken sandwich, medium frosty, or 10-piece nuggets, you can get another for just $1. Your dollar never tasted so good. So it's obvious what everyone will get, right? Definitely not.
God, that creeped up on me pretty fast.
Okay, who said frosty and a frosty? Pick your obvious choice. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's. Buy one, get one for $1. Limited time only. Price participation may vary. U.S. Wendy's valid for item with equal or lesser value. Can often combine in a combo or any other offer.
Labor Day savings start now at Lowe's. Get up to an additional $1,500 off select major kitchen appliances. And save $100 off select laundry pairs, priced $1,396 or more. Plus, pick up the latest DeWalt Power Stack.
Coming to that, Trey. Absolutely.
And get a select Bear tool free. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/30. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details. While supplies last.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC-HD3 Greenville, the official sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. CBS Sports Radio. Live from the Philadelphia.
And check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob. Only.
The Fan Upstate.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show goes now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Great to have you. Thanks for spending your mid-mornings with us. I hope everybody is just living their best life. I hope that everybody is looking forward to football Saturday. What weekend we've got lined up, folks. I will tell you that providing the weather turns, we've got a Greenville Drive homestand this weekend. We've got college football all day Saturday, and it is the last Sunday sans NFL football. Hooray! Week 1 next week in the NFL, week 1 this week in college. My goodness, my friends. What a weekend we have coming up. All right. I said that we are going to talk some National Football League here on the radio broadcast. And we shall, friends. Let us start. And by the way, if you've got any NFL questions, feel free to throw them up there. Kyle said, as a Jets fan, we're going to choke again. I don't know, man. I feel like last year wasn't a choke. Yes, I know you lost 6 down the stretch, Kyle. I don't think last week was a choke, or last year, pardon me, was a choke. I think last year was the inevitable consequence of not having a starting quarterback, or at least a good one. I think you basically got up to the point where the rest of the league looked at your team and went, they can't throw the ball consistently. They just don't have him. They don't have it. And I think it ultimately came back to bite you in the rear end. Guess what you have this year? You have, starting for you, a guy who is now, 2 seasons removed from winning an NFC Offensive Player of the Year award. I think the Jets are going to be fine. Now, I will say, you're in a rough division, my guy. You're in a rough division. Josh Allen is still there. I hear Lonzo grumbling in the distance. But Josh Allen is still there in Buffalo. I do not think that Tua Tagovailoa is the guy that elevates the Miami Dolphins, but I am in a minority of people when I say that. If Tua Tagovailoa is indeed the dude that a lot of people have been trying to convince me for a lot of time that he is, that's problematic in that division. And I will tell you, in all honesty, I fear a Bill Belichick who is coaching for his life if he indeed does want to stay in the mix. I fear a Hoodie who thinks that he has got to prove that he is that guy this year, that he's still capable of being the man. Because if he is truly feeling like he's up against it, he's going to break out everything he's got. So this division's going to be wild, man. This division's going to be wild, the AFC East. I'm looking forward to it. Texture said, keep sleeping on the Patriots. Best pass rush in the AFC East and might be a ground force with Zeke. Look, I mean, if you want to throw in and think that Big Z is your savior, that's on you, man. I'm not even honestly gonna say that he's not. I'm just saying, if you think all the problems of the Dallas Cowboys began and ended with number 21, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you. I don't think that is the case. I think with New England, to some degree, it comes down to Mac. Is Mac the guy? And I just don't believe that he is, man. I just don't believe that he is. I think I'm not going to say that the run is over for the New England Patriots. I'm not there yet. I am going to say I am not optimistic at all for New England. And it's not even that I think New England's going to be bad. It's just that I truly, honestly, genuinely feel like the rest of this division's going to be good. I actually really wanted Miami to land Dalvin Cook. I thought that would have been a massive help. But instead, he still ends up in that division. He just ends up with Aaron Rodgers. And I think you might be in trouble because of that. If you ask me this year, honestly, who's going to have the better year, Dalvin or Zeke, I'm going to go with number 4. But we'll see. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to week 1. The Panthers made a trade this morning. They decided to bring in Ihmir Smith-Marsette, a wide receiver. The Panthers brought him in a trade with Lonzo's Kansas City Chiefs. The teams exchanged conditional 7th-round picks as part of the deal. Smith-Marsette had 9 receptions for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns in 3 preseason games with the Chiefs. Entered the league as a Bears 5th-round pick in 2021, had 5 catches for $116 and 2 TDs in 8 games as a rookie. He was waived last August, got claimed by the Bears, but wound up on the Chiefs practice squad in October. So why did this move get made? Real simple. This move got made for one reason and one reason alone. the locker room for the wide receiver core for the Carolina Panthers right now is a mash unit. DJ Chark is banged up. Laviska Shenault is banged up. As much as I don't want to put it on him, BY's got to be sure, or I should say the Panthers have got to be sure that BY has help at that position. I think Adam Thielen was to some degree banged up as well, right? You cannot enter this season not having the best possible outcome. And as Trey accurately summed it up, it's low risk, high reward, right? You did not lose a draft pick. You just might be swapping a 7th rounder. And realistically speaking, you're looking at what? 16, 17 picks that you have dropped. And you're looking at dropping 16, 17 picks in order to bolster maybe the most important position that you need to bolster for your rookie quarterback, right? Which I think is well worth the risk. And it's honestly, it's like, it's not even that big of a risk. If this kid works out, excellent. If he doesn't, whatever. And by the way, if he doesn't, if he comes in and contributes nothing, you're not going to switch the picks. They're conditional, right? But with Chark, Marshall, and Shenault all dealing with injuries, you needed some depth here. And this is a kid that has gotten limited opportunities, but in the limited opportunities he's gotten, he has at least put his mitts on the rock and come down with it a few times. Now, we are keeping an eye on Cut Tracker today because it is the day that NFL teams have to turn in their 53-man roster. So here's what we know about the Panthers so far. BJ Wilson, tackle, is out. John Penasini, defensive tackle, is out. Aaron Mosby is out. Mosby was picked up by the Green Bay Packers, probably a practice squad guy. Quarterback Colby Richardson is cut. He has been signed by the Lions. Jalen Redmond is out. One of the interesting ones, because it tells me that the Cats are still keeping an eye on the growth of Matt Corral, is Jake Luton. Now, you're keeping an eye on Corral, not because you think that Matt Corral is a decent long-term number 2 QB at the NFL. You are keeping an eye on Matt Corral for one reason and one reason alone, to see what his trade value looks like. That's it. You are keeping an eye on Matt Corral because Matt Corral could, down the line, become a guy that can get you some assets back, right? If you get deep in the season and there's a couple of playoff teams that have a QB go down and they want to make a run, Matt Corral might be a guy you could convince them is worth taking a look at. So the fact that they let Jake Luton go tells me that they believe Matt Corral has done enough this preseason to theoretically stick around as a number 3 QB and as trade value sometime down the line. Maybe you keep one less special teams ace on in order to keep to keep Corral in the mix so that when it gets to week 7, 8, 9, that's a dude you can send out. So we'll see. Cameron Peoples is out, the running back. Gary Jennings, the wide receiver, and C.J. Saunders, the wide receiver, both out. Larnell Coleman is gone. D.L. Antoine Jackson is out. Former Arkansas Razorback Bumper Poole, the linebacker, he is gone. Safety Colin Duncan, safety Josh Thomas are both out. Rajon Wright is out. He was a cornerback. The kicker battle is very clearly over as Matthew Wright has been cut. Marcon Marcall is gone. We told you earlier, it appears, although I do not have confirmation that this is 100% official, but it does appear per a number of sources that Deion Jones, the veteran linebacker, is gone as well. A lot of folks thought Deion might be able to stick on this team as a reserve linebacker, as a guy you could have in the wings just to add you some more depth, especially if you end up having some issue with injuries to that position, considering how important linebackers are, the most important position on the field when you're running a 3-4. So I thought Deion Jones might stick around, but he did not. And then we do know that Damiere Byrd is gone. Now, we knew Damiere Byrd because of that injury, which is likely at least a majority of the season, if not full season injury. We knew he was likely already out, but Carolina did reach an injury settlement with Deion Jones. So Deion is out at Charlotte as well. And I hate it for him. I really do. I hate it for him because a lot of folks thought he could have possibly fit in, Damiere Byrd, not Deion Jones. Deion's just gone because they don't have the room on the roster. A lot of us thought Damiere Byrd could very well serve as like a fifth wide receiver, as kind of an extra option, but that injury is going to kill his opportunity to make this roster. Damiere Byrd is out as well. So those are the guys we know are cut so far, as the Panthers have to be down 253. I'm looking around some of the other teams right now. There's not a lot of other guys that I'm shocked by. Colt McCoy is out at Arizona. The former Texas Longhorn quarterback is no longer a Cardinal, which means the Cardinals do believe, I think, that they have decided to throw the season down the toilet because they're keeping less talented quarterbacks on the roster. Mykal Walker, the outside linebacker, is gone from Atlanta. The Falcons also have cut offensive lineman Jalen Mayfield and defensive lineman Justin Ellis, a couple of interesting names. None that really, I think, are make or break, but I thought those guys might stick on the team. Nobody that really stands out for me from Buffalo. Chicago has made a ton of cuts, but they have also signed some guys today. As we mentioned, PJ Walker is one of them. A name that I am very interested by. A name that I am very interested in, and that name is Alex Leatherwood. That name is very familiar to a lot of you because Alex Leatherwood is a guy out of the University of Alabama. You will keep in mind that Alex Leatherwood was a first-round draft pick for the formerly Oakland Raiders a number of years ago. What was it, 2017, I think? They selected Alex Leatherwood, and a lot of us were like, I don't understand that pick as well. It was a reach then, and now you're seeing why. Alex Leatherwood got picked up by the Bears a little while later and has not made the team, which is almost a guy I'm like, maybe it's a practice squad guy, right? Like maybe that's a guy you bring in, you put him on the squad. It's about as close to replicating a starter, at least a starting caliber athlete on a practice squad as you can get. So I'm intrigued by that. Let's see here. Good call on the text line. I just checked it and confirmed it. The old double exclamation point. Former South Carolina Gamecock Shi Smith has been cut by the Carolina Panthers. Michael Brown, the offensive lineman, has been waived by the Panthers. Michael Jordan. Spencer Brown, the running back. Michael Jordan, the offensive lineman, are both out. Michael Jordan is that's one that I kind of saw coming. All right. Mike, really just about every offensive lineman on this team had a real opportunity, I think, to stand out this year because of how bad the offensive line appeared to be in the preseason. And he just, frankly, he just didn't, man. He just didn't. So Michael Jordan is out, the offensive lineman. Kobe Jones and Deion Jones, defensive end and linebacker, respectfully, both out. Spencer Brown, the backup running back, is out. Deonte Brown, the offensive lineman, is out. Another guy that I wondered if he would be added just to give some depth based on the poor performance of the OL in the preseason. And Shi Smith, former Gamecock, is out, which, again, that one also not a big shock to me. We had Rashad Beard on, 2 weeks ago when we were setting up for this whole thing. And we were talking about some of the guys we thought could potentially end up getting bounced from this squad based on some of the acquisitions that were made by Carolina leading up into and through this preseason. I asked Rashad, I'm like, I think Shi Smith could be on that list, and he agreed. And here we are. We both got that one right. Look, I like Shi Smith. Unfortunately, with the acquisition of Adam Thielen, with the acquisition in the trade today that the Panthers made to bring in the young man from Kansas City, Shi as a special teams returner just did not put enough on the table to justify him staying on the roster. I hope he lands somewhere. I hope he gets another opportunity. I don't necessarily know that he got the fullest opportunity with the Panthers, but that's a rough cut. So the Panthers names we know are gone: Kobe Jones, Deion Jones, Michael Jordan, Spencer Brown, Deontay Brown, and Shi Smith amongst the cuts. So that one shocks me a little bit. That one shocks me a little bit. And we will keep adding to this list. Keith Taylor is gone. Quarterback Stanley Thomas Oliver has been cut as well. So that's where we're at with the Panthers cuts right now. Let's run to a break. I'm going to take a look up and down the cut tracker, as there is a lot of cuts left to go. The Bengals have only made one so far. They've got a lot of work to do. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. I'll say it real quick and then we'll take a break. The Browns yesterday made a hilarious move. At like 10:30 in the morning, from the official Cleveland Browns Twitter account, they sent out a happy birthday to, I think it was Michael Dunn, their offensive lineman. They were like, join us in wishing him a happy birthday. And then an hour and a half later, they cut him from the team. The Browns are a dumpster fire, and it is more and more hilarious every year to watch them pour gas on themselves. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
These cables.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to tell you about our friends at the All right, dudes and dudettes, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I agree, man. I'm pulling for Justin Ross hard. Let me check. So far, not listed, so that's good news.
Sponsored by Family Dollar. Falling back into routine can be stressful. That's why Family Dollar has to help you stay ahead of the class. Stock your pantry and save with snack time favorites like cereal, cookies, crackers, and Tyson frozen chicken. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
More than the scores. Real sports talk for real sports talk.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate, y'all. I am Rob. My man T2, the Timinator, sitting in for the great Malonzo. He shall rejoin us next week, taking a well-earned vacation. Shi Smith out at Carolina. We broke that for you in the last segment. Want to thank my man UNC Chris, who was just lighting up the phone line or the text line today, letting us know what's going on, and we are keeping track of that via the cut tracker. That one was a relatively new. In fact, that happened during the show. Shi Smith is an interesting cut, but it makes sense. I don't like it because I was very much pulling for the guy. I don't like it, but it makes sense. Shi Smith was a slot wide receiver. That was going to be his role. He is a slot wide receiver. He's not a dude that showed that he had down the field, put him at the Y spot and just let him run speed. And he's not a big physical guy either. A slot receiver is the receiver you traditionally use to find the holes in the coverage, sit him down, throw it at him, and move the chains. That's Adam Thielen. And as much as Adam Thielen has aged, he is certainly well on the wrong side of 30 at this point. He is playing one of the few skill positions that you don't have to be the biggest or fastest or most physical guy, right? You got to have real football smarts to play the role of the slot receiver. And Adam Thielen has obviously shown that time and time again. So as much as I am pulling for Shi, and I very much am, I think he's a talented young dude. I think he showed some flashes during the preseason. And from what I understand, based on the conversations I've had that are with dudes and dudettes who have covered this team in the preseason extensively, Shi Smith was an absolute grinder this offseason. This dude was going out of his way to show that he is NFL caliber, that he is the guy. He is a dude that gives you some option in the return game, right? And I think that trade kind of hurt him there, but there are going to be some other teams that are at some point going to be looking for a return guy. And I absolutely believe Shi Smith can play that role for somebody. Somebody is at some point this year going to need a kick return specialist. And I think he can kind of fill that gap. So I don't suspect Shi Smith is going to be off of an NFL roster for all that long, to be honest with you. I think somebody is going to give this cat a second look. And I think honestly, by the end of today, Shi Smith is going to be on a roster somewhere. I'm pretty comfortable with that take right now. We'll keep an eye on that for you throughout the rest of the day, but it's not as big of a shock as I think some Panthers fans think that it is. It's not a big shock. The spot he was going to play at, Adam Thielen owns. It is the reason that Adam Thielen is in Carolina, is because of his ability to be a slot monster. And that just eats up those snaps from Shi Smith. There's nowhere to put him. So why would you put him on the roster when you know that Thielen is eating up most of the snaps in the slot, and you just made a pick from a guy who was very productive in the I'll say that. Shi Smith was not as productive in the preseason as this young man that was just brought over from Kansas City. So you got a guy who is more productive if Thielen goes down, is as good, if not better, as a kick returner. It is unfortunate, but that's just where Shi is. That's just kind of how it landed. Do have a little bit of breaking news for you Atlanta fans. Former Pro Bowl cornerback Malcolm Butler is flying to Atlanta this afternoon and is going to be trying out for the Falcons tomorrow. Now, Butler has not played a regular season game since 2020. He has worked out and signed contracts with teams over the last 2 years. And from what I'm reading right now, Malcolm Butler has stayed in playing shape. Now, I don't think you can rely on getting the Malcolm Butler that helped New England build a dynasty, but I do think you can add a little bit of depth at a spot that you're going to need it if you were Atlanta. Because if Bryce Young is the dude that Carolina fans believe that he's going to, hell, that Carolina itself believes that he is going to turn into, and with future first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Carr in New Orleans, you're going to have to be able to defend the pass in the NFC South. I really thought that this was going to be a league that was going to be predicated on the run this year. I thought with Kamara and Jamal down in New Orleans that they would be run first, especially if Jameis Winston took another run at QB1 for New Orleans, but they upgraded to Derek Carr. And I know I've made enough jokes to frustrate some of y'all about Derek Carr being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let me make abundantly clear. Those are jokes, all right? I'm just having fun. It makes me laugh. And at the end of the day, the majority of things I say on this radio station are for my entertainment, not yours, all right? It just is what it is. But I think that with Derek Carr in New Orleans, especially if Mike Thomas is indeed capable of coming back and being 100% and playing through and not getting hurt. And again, even as a Saints fan, I'll believe that when I see it, frankly. But if Mike Thomas is capable of coming back with Chris Olave down there, that's a deadly 1-2 punch at wide receiver, and Derek Carr throwing them the ball, you're going to have to defend the pass against New Orleans. Bryce Young, BY. If Adam Thielen is able to come out and still be that dude at, what is he, 34 now? If he is able to come out and still be that dude, if Laviska Shenault, as Rashad Beard seems to think, is capable of proving that he's still that threat, if DJ Chark can get and stay healthy and be that guy for Carolina with Bryce Young out there, Carolina's going to be able to throw the ball around. And as much as I've gotten laughed off of a couple of radio interviews because of this take, Todd Bowles is the problem in Tampa, not Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, despite the fact that they have a big question mark as far as who is going to be calling the plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't think Baker Mayfield is as bad as some people are trying to convince you that he is. My conspiracy theory was, and has been that Baker Mayfield has caught raw deals everywhere that he has been so far. He caught a raw deal at Cleveland. As I pointed out in the last segment, the Cleveland Browns are a bleeping joke of an organization. Letting Baker go said more about the Browns than it said about Baker Mayfield. Then he gets to Carolina, where he coaches under a guy that I am sure to this day is thanking his luckiest of lucky stars that Urban Meyer exists, because otherwise Matt Rule would have been the worst coach in the NFL in the past 5-10 years. But fortunately for Matt Rule, Urban Meyer did what he did down in Jacksonville. I do have to tell you, Cody Decker and I were having a very funny conversation off the air during Bet for the Cycle on Saturday, our nationally syndicated baseball gambling show, which airs every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL network. If you're not watching, you're missing out, guy. We were having a very funny conversation because one of our off-the-air producers asked if we had watched the Swamp Kings documentary yet. To which I said, do not just no, but hell no. I have negative interest in watching that. It is Urban Meyer PR and propaganda and nothing else. The fact that they made this whole documentary, they did not talk about Aaron Hernandez. They very, very mentioned the Pouncey twins. And even when they did mention the Pouncey twins, it was basically just about how amazing offensive linemen they were. The fact that they did not get into Percy Harvin off the field. The fact that they ignored that Chris Leak was not just a thing, but that first natty is not won if it was not for Chris Leak. Florida Herb doesn't get that first natty if it wasn't for Leak, and they just ignored that entirely. I have negative interest in the Swamp Kings documentary. Anyway, the conversation turned to Urban Meyer. To which I said, Matt Rule to this day spends time, I assume, thanking Herb for existing because he saved Matt Rule from being the most pathetic head coaching hire of the last very long time in the NFL. Cody was like, I got to tell you, man, when he kicked that kicker, that was a big story. Remember that? He kicked the kicker. He was like, it's my house. You do it in my way. And he kicked him. Deck was like, I'm going to tell you right now, as a professional athlete, had that guy pulled that move to me at a practice, I'd have beat the hell out of him on the spot. And frankly, I think he would have deserved it. What a joke. What a joke that guy remains. I'm standing by that. Anyway. What else y'all want to get to before we get up out of here for the day? We got some more stuff we got to talk about. I mentioned Simone Biles. Oh, the Ryder Cup captain's picks are out. And these are kind of interesting to me. The Americans have thrown out their name. The 12-man roster is finalized. Zach Johnson, serving the role of captain this year, has made 6 captain's picks to go with the 6 players who earned a spot. Those picks are Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns, Ricky Fowler, and Brooks Koepka. Very interesting. I think I'm good with the Justin Thomas pick. I think that's going to go down as probably the most controversial because JT did not exactly have his best season this year. So I know there are already some people on social media lamenting the pick of JT. I think I'm good with it. And I think I'm good with it because JT has been here. JT has done this. JT brings a lot of experience to this squad. And I do not think you can understate how important in an event this big, when very frequently it will come down to the nerve of a guy to stand over a 6-footer on the last day of competition, all square with his European counterpart. And you've got to be able to know you can trust that guy to be dialed in and to nail it. And I think JT gives you an element of that not a lot of other guys can or have right now. So I hate that pick. He was the lone team member who failed to make the FedEx Cup playoffs this year, which tells you, again, it was an off year. 15-time tour winner had a disappointing year this year, but he's a team event guy. In fact, has been one of the best Americans in the team event. Johnson said about Justin Thomas, in my mind, he was born for this. You don't just leave JT at home. He is without question the heart and soul of this U.S. team. He's our emotional leader, end quote. It's a great pick. Great pick. All right, so those captains are out. And last thing I'll talk about before we take it to break and come back with what the X is going on and call it a day. We just had a texter send in a note to the carpros.com text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, so that I get them and can read them on the air. He said, how did Chapman beat Burns? Well, I went into it a little bit yesterday, but I'll do it again real quick before we take a break because you are going to hear coming up this Friday evening, Burns Rebels high school football right here on the Fan Upstate. A couple of things. Number one, Chapman made incredible halftime adjustments, and Burns, frankly, just didn't keep up. Chapman recognized that their stellar wide receiver, Sean Cunningham, was capable of having a day, and he did. And they put the ball into his hands multiple times down the stretch. On the flip side, I think Burns at the end of that game, and again, it is my job not to be critical, but to be analytical. I think Burns at the end of that game got away from utilizing their biggest playmakers. I do. I think that you've got a young man in Trey Segura who is a stud of an absolute stud of a running back. And I think they started taking the ball out of his hands too much, and I think that was a problem. You've got Armani Weaver and Kamarius Bomar, both elite electric athletes on the outside. And I don't think either of them saw but more than one or two targets down the stretch. Chapman played a hell of a football game, man. Like a whale of a football game. The adjustments were great. The coaching staff was all over it. They knew exactly where the weak spots were for the Rebels. They took full advantage of those. Burns, on the other hand, I think came into this game a little confident. I think Burns came into this game a little aggressive. I think they wanted to really get the passing game sharpened up for Andrew Stevens because the competition takes a step up for the Rebels this weekend. They got Greenville coming to the house. Greenville might be the best 4A team in the state, and they come to Nixon on Friday night. I think Burns wanted to kind of work in the passing game a little bit, and by the time that they realized they were in a game with a Chapman Panther team that was not going to roll over, by that point, frankly, it was, I think it was just too late. I don't think there was anything that could be done at that point. So it was a hell of a game from the Chapman Panthers. It was a hell of a coach job. It was a heck of a playing job. They just got it done. And like I said earlier in the week, and by earlier in the week, of course, I mean yesterday, I think the Rebels are going to have some very tough conversations to get into in their locker room this week. I think there's going to have to be some conversation amongst players about accountability, about leadership. I think there's going to have to be some conversations between coaches about strategies and about tactics and what's working and what's not, about consistency within all of that. Every team gets a slap in the face. And when you take a slap in the face, the question is, how do you respond? And I think Burns got slapped in the face on Friday night. Now we see how they respond with the Greenville Red Raiders coming to town on Friday night. Let's take our break. When we come back, we wrap up the show. Already? Is it already noon? It is. When we come back, we wrap up the show with the famous segment, What the X is Going On. And then we call it a day. The Timinator over in the Great One's chair. I am Rob Brown. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Keegan Sullivan, you and I are going to have a discussion after this show, young man.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate. Braves pounded the Rockies 14-4 in Denver on Monday. Big night for Ronald Acuna Jr. He tied his career high with 4 hits with 5 RBI. He hit his 29th home run and stole a pair of bases, increasing his major league leading total to 61. He's a home run shy and becoming the first ever 30-60 player. He also leads the major leagues with 119 runs. Bryce Elder improved to 11-4. He won his 3rd straight decision, allowing 4 runs and 8 hits over 6 innings. College football this week. Wake Forest opens the season Thursday night at home against Elon. NC State's on the road at UConn. NC heads to UAB. Furman at home against Tennessee Tech. Saturday, the Tar Heels visit South Carolina. Next Monday night, Duke plays host to Clemson. East Carolina visits Michigan. South Carolina State at Charlotte. The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins football. Listen to the season opener versus Tennessee Tech Thursday, August 31st at 5:30. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders on the Fan Upstate.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Are we coming back with this?
97.7 FM Green.
Yeah.
On the
I'm Taylor Bishotti with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Cardinals say they won't reveal who their Week 1 starting quarterback is yet for a, quote, competitive advantage. But we do know it won't be Kyler Murray or Colt McCoy. Arizona revealed Monday they'll keep Murray on the physically unable to perform list as he recovers from knee surgery. This means he'll miss at least the first 4 games. And in a bit of a surprise move, the Cardinals released McCoy, who's been working with the first team for most of the offseason. And the recently excited Joshua Dobbs will now compete for the starting gig. The Texans have revealed their Week 1 starter, and it'll be C.J. Stroud, the 2nd overall pick in the draft, threw his first touchdown of the preseason in Sunday night's win over the Saints. And there's a new kicker in Cleveland. The Browns acquired Dustin Hopkins from the Chargers for a future 7th-round pick. Cleveland then released Cade York, who had struggled this preseason. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
From local town councils to Capitol Hill, agents who are realtors are standing up for what's right. We're here protecting property rights, here advocating for the issues that affect our neighborhoods, here championing fair and equitable housing for all. Because we are realtors, bound by a code of ethics, driven to serve our communities. We're here for it all. We're here for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
All right. Let's see.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on all your school essentials from notebooks to markers. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, portable tech, and travel size personal items. Plus, save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples print and marketing services. And now at Staples, you can save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's at AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites, go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Get in zone.
AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Castrol Edge can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Switch to My Plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and Unlimited Plus, a value of up to $449. Head to Verizon today. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refunds.
This afternoon, humid with thunderstorms, high of 83.
Weather brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. Don't go it alone in your job search. With nearly 20,000 job openings,
All right,
Express
5
Employment
seconds.
Professionals can help you take the next step. Visit expresspros.com today.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, wrapping up the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. It is time for us to play America's favorite little game. We call it What the X is Going On, ... on Twitter. Timmy is going to take a look at some of the things that are trending regionally and nationally on social media, and I will do my best to either tell you what is trending and why, or make something up completely to fill the time. Either way, Timinator, the floor is yours.
All right, coming in at number 1, we got The Equalizer 3.
So, if you have not seen any of the Equalizers so far, I suggest you do.
I have not.
Okay. They're awesome, dude. Like, they are genuinely fun. Denzel is phenomenal in these movies. He is wild. If you are an action flick kind of person, this is a phenomenal movie to watch. It is a phenomenal series to watch. They are fun. They are exciting. He does a wonderful job making you buy into him as a hero, but it's kind of Bruce Willis-y in that, like, he can be hurt, he can be wounded, right? He's not like a traditional action guy who has, immunity to everything. He's that good. So I enjoy that movie. I enjoy that series, and I will absolutely be seeing Equalizer 3. By the way, real quick, I do want to remind you guys, if you're not already checked in, I was talking about Burns High School football. I might as well finish up the thought. The Saturday Morning Scramble airs every Saturday right here on the Fan Upstate. It is your home for complete, comprehensive coverage of high school football. And it is hosted by our own Cole Bryson and co-hosted by my true friend, Alex Guest. Cole and Alex are going to hit you every Saturday morning from 8 to 10, walking you through all the games from around the upstate. Every Saturday live from your locals, Ingalls markets. Phenomenal dudes, phenomenal show, so make sure you're tuned in. What else we got trending, Timinator?
All right, coming up, number 2, we got, I just wanted to see what you said about this, Grayscale.
Grayscale.
Yeah. When I originally saw it, I thought Game of Thrones.
So did I. So did I. But the way that you presented it to me leads me to believe that is not the case.
No, it is trending in business and finance.
Okay. I don't know what it is, what it means. I also have to acknowledge that I am a idiot. So it may be something that I just don't know, but I've got nothing.
All right.
Wait, here's the important question. How do you spell gray?
It's Gray instead of EY.
I was going to say, I was going to go search for it real quick just so I can figure it out. Okay. Grayscale. The first thing that comes up for me is it's just an online investment thing. So obviously there's some sort of, let's see, the DC Circuit Court ruled, I don't care. It's a financial litigation story. I don't care. I don't care. Don't care. Sorry. Don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that's going to do it, dudes. That's going to do it. That is day 2 in the books. There are now 3 more days of radio broadcasts standing between us and college football Saturday. There are now 2 more radio broadcasts standing between us and Furman, Texas, Tennessee Tech, Florida, Utah, Vanderbilt, Hawaii. Y'all, football's here. It's so close. I can smell it at this point. All right. We'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll do it all over again, but better don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a lovely rest of your Tuesday. Follow me on the social at The Rob Brown Show. We're talking football all the way up till toe meets leather. My dudes and dudettes, have a lovely rest of your Tuesday. For Timinator, thank you again, big dog. Great job. We'll see you back here tomorrow to run it back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah! Hey, it's Rob Brown, the voice of the Burns Rebels. In week 2, the Rebels took their first L on the season, dropping a disappointing 17 Rebels return home and defend the house against Greenville High School. Pregame at 7, kickoff at 7:30. It's Burns Rebels High School football, powered by your local Ingles Market and Founders Federal Credit Union on the Fan Upstate. 97.1 FM Spartanburg, 97.7 FM Greenville, and free on the Odyssey app.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first.
All right.
It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
All right, dudes and dudettes, thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. We are back tomorrow to do it all over again. The Wednesday edition is going to be LIT lit because we will go over the schedule for the Thursday games and Saturday games. It shall be a wonderful time. Have a lovely day. Thanks for hanging out. Goodbye.
When it comes to helping clients achieve